welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Nathan Fox, one of the co-founders of LSATdemon.com. With me is Annalisa Palmer. Annalisa has been part of the Thinking LSAT and LSAT Demon team since, the very beginning, huh?
Not really. It seems like it. 2017.
2017. I always think you've been around since the beginning. It feels like you've been with us.
2018, I think, actually.
Wow. Well, you're a big part of our success, ADOT. And so I'm really happy to have you on LSAT Demon Daily, our brand new podcast. We've got an email here from Kasha. Do you want to read it?
Yeah. She says, my question is about whether law schools will count CR, NC, or W grades against me on my transcripts. I have 2 grades of CR from last year because my university offered all students the choice of swapping letter grades to credit or no credit, given the insanity of the pandemic. So I guess she's just asking, will her pass-fail grades count against her? And the short answer is it depends.
Okay.
So this is actually my experience. I applied to law school in, 2019?
Yep.
And I had a couple audit grades and I had a withdrawal from a exercise class Pilates that I withdrew from because I was like, this is taking up too much of my time. So it depends on, so what I found out is it didn't count against me, but the W didn't, but that was because my undergraduate university didn't consider W grades as like a penalty to you. And LSAC takes that into account when they calculate your LSAC GPA, which it doesn't seem like, was it Tasha? It doesn't seem
Kasha,
like
or
Kasha.
maybe Kasha. I don't know. Cassia. I would say Kasha, but
Kasha. It doesn't seem like she knows that that is a thing. But LSAC has their own thing, a part of the Credential Assembly Service, where they calculate your LSAC GPA, which is different from your undergraduate GPA. And so, yeah, I would, to figure it out if your university considers passing grades or like withdrawals, you need to talk to your academic advisor and see if your university penalizes you for getting a W.
okay.
Yeah. And then if they are like my undergraduate university and they don't penalize you, then it will just say on your academic summary report at the very bottom, grades excluded from the conversion, or like, what is it exactly? Unconverted credit hours. And
Okay.
so then it will just say like 2 credit, or not 2, every class is like 4, so like 16 credit hours unconverted. So then that won't factor into your LSAC GPA, and that's the GPA that law schools care about.
Yeah, I mean, they take that GPA and they actually convert it with your LSAT score. They convert it into an index, or
Yeah.
basically they turn every applicant into just one number, which is a combination of your converted LSAC GPA and your LSAT score. So they are not going to give any shits, I don't think, about the section at the bottom of your record that says these things were not included in they don't care. I mean, they want to know what that Credential Assembly Service LSAC GPA is, and they want to know what your LSAT score is. I mean, one thing that Kasha can do for sure, you can go ahead and Google it and you can find the full algorithm that LSAC uses for doing these calculations, and you can do the calculations yourself. But far easier would be sign up for the Credential Assembly Service and just submit your transcripts and then let LSAC calculate it. And then you'll find out one way or the other what your LSAC GPA actually is. One thing I was curious about, though, and I don't know, Annalisa, if you know anything about this, but because of the pandemic, I'm assuming there are going to be all kinds of credit, no credit, and maybe even withdrawals that happened in 2020. Have you heard anything? Do we know anything from LSAC about that? Have they changed
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah. So on their website where they talk about their academic summary report, it says that the only thing that has changed is a letter is included with the $45 report you have to buy for each law school. And the letter says, like, please be aware that in the spring of 2020, it's
There
just the
was a
spring.
global pandemic.
It just says for the spring 2020. And I'm like, what about the fall? What about like 2021?
Fall was way worse
It
than
was still
spring.
going on. It was still going on. But it says they will include a letter reminding admissions officers that spring 2020 was a semester impacted by the coronavirus, and that during this time, schools were forced to move to online instruction. Students experienced disruption in their living and learning arrangements, and a variety of changes were introduced to grading system.
But they're not actually doing anything to compensate. They're gonna so
No.
they're doing the grade translation, including adjustment for pass, no pass, credit, no
Yeah.
credit, withdrawal. They're doing all that calculation exactly the same way, but they are
Yeah.
helpfully putting in a letter that reminds law schools that there was a global pandemic
Yeah. That's
just in
very
the
nice of
spring
them.
of 2020. Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for coming on the show,
Yeah.
Annalisa. Thank you,
Thanks for having
Kesha,
me.
for writing in. If you would like to get an item on our agenda for LSAT Demon Daily, just email daily@lsatdemon.com. Thanks.